Hi there. My name is Nina Goradia, and I'm a somatic experiencing practitioner. Today, I want to share with you about the importance of being in the body for our healing, because oftentimes these emotions are arising in our body, but our minds have been trained and conditioned to push them down, to override them. The mind has been taught to think it knows best. So, this is the ego, right? It's not that the mind is the ego, but an aspect of the mind is the ego. So, the identity we have around certain aspects of our lives, our self image, the one who's conditioned, the programming, you can think of this in many different ways. But when we have this aspect of ourselves that thinks that it's the boss and it knows best and it knows all, and it doesn't, it's very limited and it's very fallible. But this part will think it'll assume that it knows more than the body, and it will not allow the body to just go through its natural processes that are keeping us alive, that are keeping us healthy. So right now, my heart is beating, my cells are exchanging oxygen and carbon dioxide in my lungs, and my mind isn't doing any of it. In fact, if my mind had to run my body for 10 seconds, I would die, right? I can't do any of this. The body has this covered. And so when the mind thinks that it knows best, it starts blocking many of the natural processes of the body, especially the ones where it's unwinding trauma. So the body may have a feeling that it just needs to feel through. And the mind keeps on pushing this feeling down, thinking it's bad, distracting. And we can do this to a feeling for years, our whole lives. We can push down the same feeling and it never gets a chance to express and release. And so when the mind steps out of the way, that's when the body can start to unwind and do its thing. One great example of this is when we're dancing, right? So a good dancer is usually not in their mind. They've put their mind to the side and the body just moves. The body just knows what to do. It has its own way of expressing. It's like you're not even there. And so that's how it is with some of the somatic work. If the mind can, take the humble role of being the witness and step aside and just watch the body, give it the attention, and it just needs to be in the role of the perceiver, just to see what's there, not adding anything to it, not having any expectations, not adding meaning or assumptions. And we just allow the body to unwind and do its thing. Then this is what's actually going to help a lot of the healing when it comes to trauma. So you can think of the mind as kind of like this manager, right? And maybe the body is the employee. That's not really how it works. But as far as who thinks it knows best, I feel like this analogy works. So isn't it common that employees will often get these orders from the manager and they'll say, this person doesn't even know what we do down here. If they did my job for even one day, they would realize that this, and this is all, ridiculous, all these rules. And yet this manager thinks, oh, I know exactly what's going on. These employees need to do this, and this, but they don't know what the actual day job is like. And so think of it that way, that the mind or the ego, it's arrogant, everybody's ego, right? And it thinks it knows best. And it needs to have the humility to actually look at the innate intelligence of the body and to see what the body is trying to communicate and how brilliant it is. Do you think the mind can run the beating heart, the organs in the body? It can't do any of those things. And it needs to admit that humility in order for the body to actually have the room to be able to do what it needs to do so that the entire person can be healthy. So this kind of middle manager, ego mind, it's trying to justify its own job. It's trying to justify its own role, but it doesn't realize it actually doesn't know how to do what's needed at the ground level. And so I encourage you, you are not the mind or the ego. You're not the body. You're not the emotions. You're the witness to all these. I encourage the real you to start looking at this from a top-down point of view. So I'm looking from the vantage point of my true self, and I'm noticing, okay, body's doing this, mind is saying this. Okay, I'm going to allow the body to do its thing. I'm going to see if the mind has some good points to offer here, but I'm not going to blindly think I am the mind and just trust it and follow it. The mind is like a child who thinks it knows, the ego. And so I'm not going to let the ego run the show. I'm not going to let the child run my life. I want the true self, the adult part to run the life, the part that's wise. And so I'm curious if you've had experiences like this where you finally gave into what the body was asking and maybe it unwound, or if you've noticed that, oh yeah, I habitually try to override my body because my conditioning was that way. So feel free to share, and I hope this helps. I'll see you next time.